Hey guys, this is Landon Bangeter. This is my CPSC presentation video. I included a picture of myself on the side here because the instructor told us to do that. This is a picture of me at a Utah State game a few years ago. I'm a big Aggie fan, so there you go. And when I was looking through the website, the product that I found that I was most appealed by is this motorcycle right here. It's a motorcycle for kids, but I love motorcycles. I've been riding for forever. And these motorcycles specifically are called the KTM SX-E5 and the Husqvarna EE5 motorcycles. They're made by two sister companies, and they're essentially the same type of motorcycle. But the recall item for this, or the recall action for this, is the thought that water can get into the battery, causing a short circuit, and that could possibly pose a crash hazard. And so far, this hasn't resulted in any injuries or any incidents, so we can only assume that this happened maybe while the motorcycle was stopped, or if it was going just a little bit and it died, or something along those lines. But the remedy was for KTM and Husqvarna to repair it. They've recalled about 300 units of this product and are going to repair it and then return it back to all the owners. It should be noted that the cost of this product ranges from $5,100 to $5,200. And just a quick rundown of the financial estimates I gathered together. Remember, keep in mind these are all estimates. None of this is set in stone. This is just my best guess of what all of these could have possibly costed. But first we look at the overall failure rate, and I'm assuming out of the 300, we only had one reported failure, I would think, just because it didn't report an incident and it was probably recalled. So I would venture to say that 1 out of 300, the overall failure rate was going to be 0.3%. As far as repair cost is concerned, I gathered that labor would probably cost about $50 per motorcycle, and the cost to get the parts to fix the motorcycle would cost about $40, and that amounts to an overall repair cost of $27,000 for all 300 motorcycles. And as far as replacing the motorcycles are concerned, I figured that the manufacturing cost would be about 71%, which leads me to believe that the replacement cost amounts to about $3,657. Profit loss, as far as customer loss is concerned, I can't imagine this resulting in many lost customers, to be frank, especially since there haven't been any reported incidents for this recall. So I gathered that the company would only lose maybe 1% of its customer loyalty. And I gathered a gross margin of 35%. That's pretty standard in the marketing business world for these kind of products. And I gathered together that the overall profit loss for KTM and Husqvarna would be about $5,407.50 if you want to get real specific. And then there's the lawsuit, and I'm kind of sailing on the same boat as far as not having too many issues from customers. So I figured that only one person would actually commit to a lawsuit, and it might be the person that reported the incident to KTM and Husqvarna. But I gathered together that the lawsuit wouldn't be crazy expensive. I mean, $500,000 is what I gathered, which is really expensive, but not as expensive as other types of lawsuits. And I also gathered that lawyer fees would probably cost about $50,000, and you add both those together, and the overall cost of lawsuit for the motorcycle company would be about $550,000. So we add all these up, and it comes to an overall cost of $586,000, or excuse me, $586,064.50. Most of that comes from the cost of the lawsuit. If you take that away, it doesn't grow that much more, you'd probably only end up with maybe about 30,000, 35,000 to spend. But assuming that the lawsuit actually does take place, then it would cost that much. So the suspected problem, I would gather, was that the manufacturing wasn't very efficient when it comes to inspecting these motorcycles. Now we can't assume. I mean, we can assume that all the motorcycles have this deficiency, but it's hard for me to believe that this would be the situation with all of the motorcycles, that they were all put together with defective batteries. So they obviously did it just for safety's sake, but I would suspect that it was because of lazy production, and obviously the steps taken by the manufacturers to recall these items and make sure they get replaced. But the suggestion I would make for improving the situation of KTM and Husqvarna is to be more efficient in your assembly line and testing. I would create a list of things that need to be checked off for each motorcycle before they are shipped off, and make sure that every item is checked. That would include things like testing the battery, testing the chain, testing the brake, all those sort of things. Go through a rigid testing process that makes sure that every motorcycle is up to speed with what it needs to be. So anyway, that's the end of my presentation. Hope you liked it.